So, for my science fiction fantasy presentation, I chose to do Sherlock Holmes. This is going to be based mostly on the BBC Sherlock TV show with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, and the original short stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So first of all, why did I choose this? Like, it's not really necessarily what you think of when you hear science fiction. You think of like the aliens and technology. But the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines science fiction as fiction dealing principally with the impact of actual or imagined science on society or individuals, or having a scientific factor as an essential oriented component. So here's kind of a clip from from Sherlock to explain that, or just kind of show it. After
January 2017.
Ready? When you just met, you were a fan. Bobby. Yeah, I don't know how we got to Afghanistan. We've got probably wide about it. The name Sherlock Holmes, the address is 221 New Baker
All right. So as you can see from that, if we go back to the definition, a scientific factor is an essential oriented component. It has the science of deduction, which Sherlock uses to find the criminals. He uses evidence that he sees and then reaches conclusions based on that evidence. He also is a scientist in the fact that he's always doing different scientific experiments. Okay, and then I just thought it was a very, very interesting idea, very good way of putting this idea. For me, the science fictional nature of Sherlock is far more embedded into the show than some inspirational connections. The very premise is science fiction. This is because intrinsically, Sherlock takes place in an alternate universe. This is a universe in which a modern-day 2010 London never had a Sir Arthur Conan Doyle writing stories about a man named Sherlock Holmes and his friend and biographer, Dr. Watson. This could also be applied to the original stories in the aspect of they didn't have the science of deduction. They didn't really have anything like that at the time. Okay, so kind of my experience with the museum, I couldn't do very many pictures because I had a lot, and this is a short presentation. But this is kind of when you're first walking in, that's the sign you see. That's their main area. So those are the chairs where they see clients. There's Sherlock's famous violin that he plays on when he's trying to think. Your cases and such. Scientific instruments, their hats, pipes, and such. Then this is Sherlock's room. It's again got his deerstalker hat, just some other odds and ends that are, from the original stories. So why did I pick this topic? There were a lot of other different choices. Why did I choose Sherlock in particular? So the Sherlock fandom popularized detective fiction. It was originally created first by Edgar Allan Poe. He did a couple short stories, but because Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote 4 novels and over 50 short stories, he really, branched out and created that genre. It also, popularized fan culture as a whole. So here's kind of an explanation of just to see the extent of their enthusiasm for Sherlock. So this is a quote about what happened when Sherlock died. British society dressed in mourning. Black armbands were worn to commemorate the great detective's passing. People canceled their subscriptions to The Strand, the newspaper that then published the Holmes stories, but not before sending piles of angry letters. Even more piles of pleas and petitions arrived on Doyle's doorstep. Obituaries appeared in newspapers. Accusations of murder flew through the air. So it seems kind of extreme, but at the same time, we also have that in our society today. For example, after Infinity War, at some of their conventions, they would have literal therapy areas with different inspirational quotes. But this was kind of the birth of that. Many people consider it the first major fandom, one of the first works in 1887. It's been the inspiration for many adaptations and characters within series. So, for example, I just watched The Flash, and one of the newest season, and one of the main characters that they just made is very obviously a Sherlock-esque character. So, for example, I didn't watch the TV series until I was 16-ish. But even before that, I knew about the character of who Sherlock was, the science of deduction aspect, cold, calculating, character. Just because I had been raised with that, and that had somehow, made it into all these versions of things I'd seen before. It also has led to several poem societies, such as the Baker Street Irregulars and the Adventuresses of Sherlock Holmes. That second one was basically just made because the first one wouldn't let women into their group until 1990s, but there it is. So although Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was not as sentimental about his character, he was pretty done with him by the end. He thought that it distracted from his more important works, but what he failed to see is that even though it wasn't necessarily a deep and meaningful novel that would give people life-changing epiphanies, it was just, they were very fun and distracting from reality, and I think that's a very important aspect of literature. It's sometimes people just need an escape, something to brighten their day and